Welcome back. In this video, we're going to read and discuss some AITAs. I've got Reddit pulled up. Let's jump right into it. AITA for telling my in-laws to stop buying our kids random stuff. My wife and I have 2 children who are both under 3. I make a decent income together and I try to treat our kids without spoiling them. My in-laws live about 4 hours away from us and are both elderly, so they only get to see their grandkids every 2 to 3 months. I don't know if it's due to this, but they constantly buy stuff for our kids without checking with us first, despite how much we tell them to stop it and ask us first. It's usually clothes or toys or such, and almost always secondhand. But the issue is 99% of the time the kids aren't interested in it, or we don't like it, or have space for it. So it ends up going into storage or donated to charity. They'll basically see something on Facebook Marketplace and just impulsively buy it for our kids, and then us after. And if we refuse it, they get upset. So now they don't even tell us when they've bought something. They just come up to visit and produce things like a giant inflatable water slide for the tiny garden we have. And then we have to take it from them. So are we the a-holes for having arguments with them? For never asking first and constantly buying random stuff for our kids that we don't need or the kids won't play with and demanding that we take it? No, I'm going with NTA. See, I mean, as long as you approach the conversation respectfully, and it seems like you probably tried to, but I don't want a bunch of crap either. Like, my friends and family know very well, like, go on a trip with me, take me out to a meal, come hang out with me for a few hours or something. But don't just, like, buy me a bunch of crap. Like, if there's something that you've seen that you know for a fact I am going to just absolutely love, you know what I mean? I'm not against gifts, but, like, I don't want a bunch of crap either. You know what I mean? Like family holidays and stuff. I'm not too big on giving or receiving a ton of gifts. I really like to, like, narrow them down and keep them, like, focused on... Like, if I haven't found an item to purchase that so-and-so will love, then I won't purchase them an item. But that could be controversial on the other side of it. So that's just where I sit with it. So I'm going with an NTA, though. I don't want a bunch of crap in my house either. I don't want a giant inflatable water slide when I have no want or use for that. So I'm a pretty firm NTA. Let me read some of the comments and see if people agree. My mom used to buy random crap all the time, like clothes that are absolutely not my style or decor that I never wanted. I kept telling her to stop. I appreciate the thought, but please stop. Right? And it's such an awkward position to be put into when you have to tell someone, like, I don't want to be rude or unappreciative or ungrateful, but, like, I don't want this crap. This is such a good idea. This comment says, tell the grandparents every time they have an urge to buy the kids something to put that money into a college account for them. The comment goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's a great idea out, actually. That way, I feel like, yeah, that's probably, like, the best idea, huh, is to compromise here. Is I understand the grandparents want to be constantly doing things for the kid. Like, I would want to be, like, more consistently involved than just once every several months, too. So maybe you do that. Maybe you send them a little note or a card and let them know the latest, you know, input into their college or whatever, something like that. So you could still be in constant contact with them. You could still be, you know, helping them financially and doing things like that. But it's not like a bunch of crap that they don't actually even want. Yeah, what's this sound? My water is, like, making a sound. My water bottle, that is. Pretty much most people are in the NTA. That one wasn't too hard, wasn't too conflicting. What's the word? This one I know gets a lot of people upset. AITA for being stern with a child that is not mine. My first impressions is probably not. Parents let their kids run wild, and the second somebody who is, like, absolutely entitled to say something because they're being bothered by said wild child, the parents go off, be all crazy, whatever. Let's read. So, I have a niece, too, female, who is well spoiled. Her grandma had custody for the first 20-ish months of her life, and grandma is a pushover and lets her have whatever she wants. Her mother got custody back 4 or 5 months ago and is even worse, actually. Probably out of guilt and making up for the issues that led to her not having custody. Yeah, probably. Smart woman here, it sounds like. Person? I don't know. This toddler gets everything she wants. If mom or grandma even tell her no, she'll throw a tantrum and they will give in every single time. I tend to mind my business because it's not my child, not my problem. Now, this child does spend a lot of time with us as we try to support her and her mom as best as possible in the circumstances. And my kids treat her like a little sister. She's actually a bright young girl with a great vocabulary for her age and a fiery tude. They were over today as I was getting ready for a camping trip. I was going in and out of the shed, which my kids understand is off limits due to tools, nails, etc. Usually it's locked, but I was in and out taking camping and fishing gear to the truck. So niece started walking into the shed. I softly told her no. Lots of sharps and owies and redirected to the trampoline. I explained to her mom the child needed to stay out of the shed. This happened 2 more times over the course of the next 15 minutes. Same thing. Then I just dropped the container of fish hooks that went scattering everywhere and niece starts waddling into the shed barefoot. I firmly said, "No, you can't come in here." And she stomped her little foot and kept walking in, so I gave her a very stern stop right now. She looked at me with wide eyes and started crying and ran to her mom, having an absolute meltdown. I didn't yell, but I said it very sternly with a raised voice, and I don't think anyone has ever been stern with her like that before. I explained to everyone that fish hook situation, but mom left about 5 minutes later and then texted my wife saying she's uncomfortable with me now because I was mean and bullied her daughter. It's not my place to discipline her daughter. As far as I'm concerned, I saved her a trip to the ER, but my wife also thinks that I could have more calmly redirected the child and wanted me to apologize. I'll admit I was already kind of grumpy and probably could have dropped what I had in my hands and rushed over to pick her up, but I still think it's not my fault. Everyone else in her life is a massive pushover. So AITA. Yeah, I'm going with an NTA on this one too. Like, you have already warned many times, not only the child, I mean, it's 2, it's not going to listen. You know what I mean? I don't know. But the parent, you've warned the parent that it's a dangerous, hazardous situation for the child. And now it's become like an immediate danger. She's like very close to stepping on fish hooks. I think a very stern voiced, raised voice stop right now is absolutely called for. And it absolutely does sound like everybody's just being quite the pushover to this little kid. Let me go down and see if people agree. NTA, she had hurt herself. I bet you would have, if she had hurt herself, I bet you would have been blamed. That's a good point. NTA, in your house, you absolutely get to tell guests where they can and can't do, and that includes children, especially if the child isn't properly supervised. I'm just reading, like, the first sentence of these comments. I'm not reading all the whole. People will be writing paragraphs. People will be really passionate about this. NTA, you 100% did the right thing. Yeah, so it's like a resounding NTA. Yep. Not only because it's just his house, he has every right to tell anybody not to go in anywhere, but also because the kid was like literally in, you know, some danger of hurting themselves. AITA for ruining our family trip over matching outfits. I cannot possibly imagine how would either wanting everybody to wear them or not wanting to, how could that possibly ruin an entire trip? Let's see. I think my sister-in-laws intentionally left me out of matching family outfits on our trip and got upset. They said it was all in my head. AITA. I just got back from our annual family trip and created this account to figure out if I'm the a-hole because I can't tell anymore. My husband and I have been together for 15 years, and his family has a history of excluding me and our second kid from events. This year we went on a 6-day cruise. A neighbor/friend booked the same cruise last minute. I made sure both my sister-in-laws knew they were coming. One sister-in-law, Jane, loves matching outfits, so we picked our swimsuits for the kids and an outfit for the kids to take photos in. I asked if adults were matching, and she told me no. On the first day, both Jane and my sister-in-law showed up in matching dresses and their husbands in almost identical outfits. They shrugged it off and said they just forgot to tell me. The next day was my kid's birthday. At breakfast, my sister-in-law disappeared with our kids and my friend's kids without a word. When they returned, they dismissed my concerns and left again to eat lunch without us. We joined them later, but it was clear we were not included in their plans. They showed up for our dinner plans in matching outfits again, and again, we did not get the memo. By the third day, everyone, including my friend, was in coordinated outfits except my family. When I confronted my sister-in-law, they denied everything and blamed me for overthinking and moving too slowly. They said I made everyone miserable and that I was aggressive for expressing my hurt feelings. The rest of the trip was awkward. I felt excluded and hurt, and now I fear there will be fallout with my mother-in-law and the whole family. AITA for feeling upset and confronting them. I'm trying to gather my thoughts on this one. I'm not 100% sure where I'm at with this one. Like, I'm leaning towards a no, I think, because they are obviously intentionally excluding you, and I don't think that the reaction was too big or anything to just ask, like, hey, like, what's going on? Why do you keep excluding me? Let me read down to the comments and see what the people think. Maybe that'll help me form my thoughts on it. NTA, you didn't ruin the trip. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is the title's kind of clickbaity. Ruin the trip. Well, maybe it's not that clickbaity. Maybe just because I'm not personally affected by this, I don't think it's that big a deal. Maybe she felt so awkward that it did ruin her trip. But in my reading of things, it didn't ruin any trip. NTA, and you didn't ruin the trip for calling sis-in-law out. Everyone but your family knew about the whole matching outfit plan. Sis-in-law is ridiculous. Also, just my personal opinion, matching outfits except for kids is kind of silly. NTA, I would definitely be glad to be left out of this. But it's not the outfits, it's about their exclusionary behavior. Yeah. NTA, your in-laws are working hard to be this mean. It takes effort, and it only pays off if you care. Yeah, so I guess that's kind of where I was trying to go with my thoughts, was like, you are not the OP, in my opinion, is not by any means an a-hole, but you're wasting your efforts and time. Like, just, if you're not wanted, you're not really gonna, force them or guilt them into wanting you around. I'm sorry. They suck. Don't get me wrong. They're the problem, but you might as well just move on with your life. And I get that that's, easier said than done because they're, this is your family, and I understand that you still gotta be around them and stuff, but you know what? Put your cute little family in their own little matching outfits and just, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just think that would be better off than trying to force your way into where people don't want you, I guess. Would I be the a-hole if I throw away a piece of free furniture I told somebody they could have? I can only assume that they have not come around in any sort of timely manner to collect it. But let's see. I recently got some new furniture and was giving away furniture. I told somebody they could have my TV console because I no longer need it for free. They just need to get it by the end of the month. It's the end of the month, and I told them about this in the middle of May. They said they're going to come over yesterday and get it, no call, no text, no show. I'm not reaching out to them because I reached out every single week to see when they would come and get it. I don't see any point in trying to force them to come get it. I told my friends last night that I was probably just going to throw it away because it doesn't seem like they're ever going to come get it, and even though they keep saying they're going to come get it. My friend said I'm the a-hole for this because I told them they could have it, and now I'm going against my word. I don't think I'm going against my word because I told him by the end of the month, and we've reached the end of the month, I'm not with them not getting the furniture. Yeah, I mean, I think friend is completely in the wrong. If they haven't come in any kind of timely manner to collect this, then everybody's just moving on. And you were clear up front from the beginning that there's this particular time that you need to come get this by if you want it for free, and the time has elapsed. Period. NTA. What do you mean? In fact, I think the people who didn't come get it in the timely manner, even though they said they would, are the a-holes here for wasting people's time, saying they're going to do things that they didn't get done. Let me scroll down and see if the people agree. Just a quick scroll through. Everybody's saying an NTA. They didn't hold up their end of the agreement. Yep. Pretty much everybody is in an NTA. I had a similar thing. Someone told me I told someone I'd trade a game with them that they wanted, and they said they'd think about it. 6 weeks later, they said they wanted to trade, but I'd already moved on it. They threw a fit and refused to believe that it had been 6 weeks. Yeah, I'm sorry, you can't take that long. And particularly in this case, it was very clear from the very beginning that there was a time limit. This commenter says, NTA, send them a text. Hey, I put the console at the curb at X location with a note free on it. Please collect it if you still want it, or it is open to the general public to take. Actually, that's probably the best option you could take, is just for you to go above and beyond, for you to be a polite person and be in communication with people about the things that you're supposed to be doing. That might be a good idea to cover your own butt. It's like, hey, bro, this is where it's at. By all means, come get it, but it's on the curb. Let's scroll on and see if there's any more. AITA for not reminding my husband about a huge event in my life. I already have an opinion formed on this. I'm a pretty strong NTA, but let's see if that changes. I'm currently a PhD student and also work. Hence, I'm busy. I made some changes to my project right before my confirmation seminar, which I'm only mentioning because my husband was well aware of my increased workload and pending deadline. I told him confirmation was rapidly approaching, and he asked if he could come to the presentation. I told him I wasn't sure, but I would ask. Then the university sent out my presentation details email with a Zoom link. I forwarded it straight to him. A few days go by, and I realized he hadn't mentioned it. I asked if he read the email, and he said no. I asked him to read it. A few more days go by, and I asked him again to please read it. At this stage, I realized that not only had he not read the email, but he hadn't bothered to inquire about the presentation. Unfortunately, this is fairly normal for him. He doesn't often inquire about me. He asks me questions about my day, etc., and I admit I'm tired of being ignored. I could have reminded him the day of the presentation, but to be honest, I didn't want to. I wanted him to care enough to either ask or read the email. This is where I might be the a-hole. Presentation day comes and I present and pass. He has no idea and still doesn't ask. After a G of days, I decide to finally mention it to him. He thinks I'm the a-hole for not reminding him. I think he's the a-hole for not caring enough to ask. AITA. Edited to add. For those asking, I never email him, so this is not a case of constant emails that could be overlooked. I forwarded him the email from the university that was entitled something like confirmation presentation. That email would stand out like crazy from any other email he receives. I forwarded it as I was at work when it comes in, and my job isn't the one where I can also text call, so the wording on this is like really badly written. My job isn't one where I could text and call to tell him, so it was via email. I'm in Australia, so confirmation occurs 1 year into our work as students and is partially open attendance. Okay. NTA. You sent him the information, but if he missed it, okay, he missed it in an email, but you told him 2 more times after that to read the email. And he's not. And also, if someone isn't going out of their way to show interest in you, I wouldn't go out of your way to try to get their attention. It's kind of like the last story. It's like if someone isn't putting in that effort to be your friend, don't think you're going to try to force it. You know what I mean? And so this is kind of the same thing. It's like if someone's not going out of their way to be involved in your activities and find out about your life and you know what you're up to and what you're doing and stuff, like, then don't try to force their focus onto you. Like, they don't care. Let's make sure that the comments are NTAs. NTAs makes me sad for you. Yeah. NTA, he simply didn't care enough to even read an email, even when you asked him to. This reminds me of another post where the husband never asked anything about his wife's life. She was a college student where she stopped updating him. She got her diploma, found a new job, and got a promotion. It's only because one of the husband's friends congratulated him for his wife's new promotion that he threw a fit. She was shocked that he didn't even realize she wasn't a student anymore. Oh my god. No, actually break up. Because what? That's crazy. Soft YTA, when he asked you if he could come, you said you didn't know. When you found out he could come, you forwarded him an email rather than telling him directly. Then you keep asking him to read the email rather than asking if he was coming to the presentation. Right, but I don't even think that makes a soft YTA, because at a certain point when you're used to being ignored, you do need to just stop putting in effort. And she kind of gives the impression that, like, he just does this all the time, he don't care. Those were some pretty interesting stories today. Do let me know your thoughts on them down below. Subscribe, and don't forget to hit the little like button while you're hanging out down there. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.